What a way to start. What a way to start. Hey, just let you guys look at me for a second. Just going to let you look at me. Brandon Walker, more Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. Coming to you from the SEC Country studios here in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. I'm wearing a bow tie today. Sure am. I'm about to cough again. All right. I was fine for 15 minutes before the show. Just fine. As soon as it goes up, got a cough. So Adrian Page says, nice bow tie. All right, everybody. So if you weren't here last week, the story behind the bow tie is somebody sent it to me. I got an unmarked letter with no return address, with no letter in it, with nothing, but just this bow tie in an envelope, and it was addressed to Brandon Walker. So I assume whoever sent it wanted me to wear it. So I am wearing it. If you send me something, I will put it on this desk or I will wear it. That's just how we do it on this show. Lynn Rhodes Gilmer says, you are looking extra sharp today. Well, that's why Lynn Rhodes Gilmer is probably my favorite. Definitely one of my favorites here on the show. Lynn checking in from Sullivan, Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. Best part of my day, Hail State from Port Charlotte, Florida, Christopher Holly. Reed Burrell just says, that tie. Ryan McMichael says, so fresh and so clean, clean. Ain't nobody dope as me. I'm dressed so fresh and clean. So fresh and so clean, clean. What?
Still my ringtone to this day.
Really? Mm-hmm. Cooler than Freddie Jackson sipping a milkshake in a snowstorm. That's what I am. That's from that song. Sir Lucius Scott, Gator Belt. Okay, all right, I'm going to stop.
Enough of that.
Gator Belts and Penny Melts. Okay. People like it. People like the bow tie so far. See, we were worried. Hail State from Mize. Hello, Charles Dunaway. My wife was a Dunaway. But I married her, and she done away with that name. Okay. So I'm wearing the bow tie. People seem to like it. Chad Mass says I'm a white Malcolm X. That's not what I'm going for. Just wearing a bow tie. I'm not a white anybody. Just Brandon Walker wearing a bow tie. Hail State from Jackson, Mississippi. Hello, Jameer Williams. Fred Duck Hunter says it's lit and fire. My bow tie is fire. So that I've never felt whiter than when I just said lit and fire just then. Grace Thacker Good checking in from Greenwood. Jonathan Simmons is in Baton Rouge. So yeah, we were nervous. Terp and Landshark. Landshark loves it, oddly enough, because she went to Ole Miss, and it feels a little Ole Miss-ish, but it does have the Mississippi State logos if you can't see it. But Terp basically told me I look ridiculous and made fun of me. So we were wondering if you guys were going to like it or hate it. Gordon Crawford says I look professional. It's Tuesday tie day. It's Ties Day. We're going to wear a tie every Tuesday. You still haven't done it yet.
Terp Tuesdays.
Terp Tuesdays. All right, you can have that. But Ties Day. So I was going to wear a tie regardless. And I did bring my other Mississippi State tie as a backup just in case I wussed out and decided to take this one off. What in the holy Bond villain? What happened to Walker? Says Paul Bowles. Hail State, says Twyla Courts. Carolyn Crane Lindley says it looks dapper. Bonnie Williamson Gable says I look like a white Dak Prescott. I'll take that one. Dak wears bow ties. Love the bow tie. All right. Greg Dillon says, good Lord, you look hideous. Well, Greg, that's sweet. That is sweet. So on today's show, we're going to talk about Mississippi State football. Joe Moorhead's offense. The more I look at it, the more I get excited about it. The more I think about it, the more I get excited about it. For 9 years, we had a good offensive coach with an offense that would test you and would pound you and would be physical, but it wasn't really all that innovative, wasn't that creative, and I think Joe Moorhead is going to be something that's very exciting for Mississippi State fans to behold as he gets his hooks into this offense further and further. For that reason, we'll reach out to Brett Hudson of the Commercial Dispatch in Columbus, Mississippi, who wrote a fantastic series of articles over the weekend detailing what the passing game is like under Moorhead, what the running game is like under Moorhead. He did a great job kind of recapping that. So we'll reach out to Brett shortly and have him first on the show today. Then we'll talk about women's basketball. That is a good draw to win a national championship. Let's just be honest. If State is going to win a national championship, they got a draw that can allow them to do that. They got a very favorable draw. They got the draw they needed. They're on the opposite bracket of UConn. They see their rival, South Carolina, suffocated by UConn over there. Don't play Baylor in our region. Everything looks good. We'll talk about that later. Chad Edwards says, you look like you should be making milkshakes in a drugstore on the Andy Griffith Show. All right. We're going to start the show in about 3 minutes. Get them all out now. Get them all out now. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. That bow tie is sort of like putting perfume on a hog, says Joe Goldman. You know that last show you guys did yesterday wasn't as friendly with this audience, was it?
Guess not.
I could be freaking out right now.
Yeah, you could be. Good thing you're not.
The Bowtie Bulldog. We bought tickets for Saturday's game for basketball and baseball. Woohoo, says D. Curtis. I don't know how to say woohoo. I'm not excited, so.
Woohoo.
Woohoo. Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
All right, I got it. Nailed it. Derek Whitford says Pleasantville. Hillary Mills says Shrek looks casket ready. Hillary Mills has taken the lead. That was pretty good. Sandra Thompson says you look very nice. Thank you very much. All right, everybody. I'm wearing a bow tie. I told you I was going to wear it. I brought it on the show and said, hey, I'm going to wear this next week because somebody sent it to me. If you sends it to me, I'm going to wear it. That doesn't mean send me a kilt or something else ridiculous. I'm not going to wear all that. Plus, you wouldn't see it. But I think I look nice. I think I look very nice. Guy in the hall, well, you saw him. Guy in the hall says he's not ready to make his order yet and treated me like a waiter. Who is Nichols? Well, they're in Louisiana. They are in Louisiana, and used to be Nichols State. They dropped the state a couple of years ago, so we'll face them. All right, Terp, no more bow tie talk. We got to get serious. Yep. It's a serious show. It's a serious Mississippi State show. We talk about the issues here. So at the end, we'll talk about the 2-minute drill, and one of the questions is, if you could punch anybody in the world, who would it be? Terp, I know you can't wait to answer that question. Let's go with the show.
The More Cowbell Show, brought to you by SEC Country. And now, your host of the More Cowbell Show, Brandon Walker.
That's me, More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country, coming to you from the SEC Country studio here in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. Excited to come to you today. Excited to talk Mississippi State sports. And yes, if you're following along on Facebook Live, yeah, I happen to be wearing a bow tie. What of it? Somebody sent me a bow tie. Somebody sent it in the mail. Didn't have a return address. Didn't say who they were. So I'm wearing it, and it looks good. But you're on the podcast. You're probably looking at your car radio or your iPhone, and you don't know what I'm talking about, and that is fine. So now today on this show, we're going to talk about Joe Moorhead's offense. I forgot to ring the bell. And you know what? You know what? I forgot to ring the bell yesterday too, didn't I? Yeah. Sorry. 2 days in a row, I almost forgot to ring the bell, but I rang it. So we are officially in here on More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. I am Brandon Walker. Today we're going to talk about the Joe Moorhead offense, how exciting it is, how innovative it is. We'll reach out to Brett Hudson of the Commercial Dispatch in Columbus, Mississippi. He's the beat writer there. That place has produced some legends in the past. I am one of them. And we'll talk to Brett Hudson, who wrote a fabulous series of articles about Joe Moorhead's offense. Then we'll talk women's basketball. Hey, that is a great draw for a national championship run, and we got it. We'll talk about that later. 2-minute drill coming up at the end of the show. First, let me go ahead and tell you, it's time to talk to you about the boatload of money you can make this week betting at MyBookie. If you haven't checked them out, this is the perfect time to get into the action. The madness of March is here. Lay down some money and score big on college hoops. Join me and thousands of online players. Start betting at mybookie.ag. Are you sick and tired of getting the runaround when you ask for a payout? Come join MyBookie today. I would only recommend a service that's been good to me and our listeners. So join now, and MyBookie will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. You can even enter for a chance to win their $1 Million Bracket Challenge. Use the promo code Cowbell to activate your offer. That's Cowbell. The show is more Cowbell. You see how that works. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. Now, Mississippi State is going to play in 2018. They're going to play football, and they're going to do it with a new coach. They're going to do it with Joe Moorhead, the former offensive coordinator at Penn State. He is bringing what I consider a very innovative, creative offense. It's going to be now, Dan Mullen's offense I always liked. I thought it was always good. But this is going to be a change of pace for Mississippi State. It's definitely going to be, for State fans, a shot in the arm when it comes to offense. And Brett Hudson of the Commercial Dispatch in Columbus, Mississippi, wrote a terrific set of articles that he released this week ahead of spring practice, detailing the running game, the passing game, basically getting under the hood of the Joe Moorhead offense and telling you how everything clicks and how everything works. So I decided to reach out to him to have him on the show. That's the longest intro I have ever done. Brett, thank you for being on the show, man.
I'm just glad you affirmed your status as a man of the people, because your listeners, the fan base, they've been clamoring for my appearance on this podcast for so long. So it's just nice to finally prove your status. Yeah,
I have not seen that at all. I haven't seen any clamoring whatsoever. But if it makes you feel good, and I got to tell you, before I start asking you questions, I'm going to institute the Joel T. Coleman rule today. So keep your answers under 2 minutes or so, because Joel T. Coleman just starts talking, and I go take a shower, take a nap, whatever, come back. But you got to keep it. The Joel T. Coleman rule is in effect. Answers under 2 minutes, and please tell him I said that publicly. Now, Brett, you really did do a couple of articles about Joe Moorhead's offense. They really were fantastic. I want to give you credit for that. You looked under the hood of Joe Moorhead's offense. Just give me, before we break them down with the passing game and the running game, just give me the overall kind of thesis of those articles and what you were going for there.
Well, I think I just wanted to learn how it operates, because as you said in the intro, this offense is unique. There's a lot of copycatting in college football going on right now. Almost everybody runs some version of the spread. Even archaic Alabama has taken on some spread-like principles in the last 5 years. So there's a lot of copycatting of these principles and schemes, but not very many people do things that are truly unique and different that nobody else in the nation does. But Joe Moorhead obviously does that, and how he structures a lot of RPOs differently than a lot of other people do. I mean, he got a lot of attention when he put Saquon Barkley at quarterback and Trace McSorley at running back, the opposite of their usual positions, at Penn State for a couple of package gadget kind of plays at Penn State last year. But there's a lot more to that. There's a lot more to how he structures the offense so that he can do unique things with RPOs, but also run them at tempo and make them easy for players to understand. So I kind of wanted to get a framework of how he runs his offense and how he structures it so that he can do unique things, but also make them where 18 to 22-year-olds can run them efficiently, effectively, often.
All right, so you broke it down into a running article and a passing article. We'll do the running first. Basically, the premise here was that the running game under Joe Moorhead boils down to angles, numbers, and grass. As briefly as you can, explain that to me. Angles, numbers, and grass.
Well, the numbers aspect of it is, frankly, how many people are in the box, how many people are an immediate threat to a called run. That's what all RPOs, run pass options, for those who don't know, are based around. They're based around how many guys is a defense going to dedicate to stopping the run. If you're going to have 6 guys in the box, I'm going to be pretty confident that I'm going to be able to run the ball efficiently on that. If you've got 7 or more, there's a pretty good chance that I can beat you with a throw, so that's what I'm going to do. That's what the numbers aspect of it is. It's the quick pre-snap read by the quarterback that the defense tells you what they're prioritizing with who they have in the box and how many they have in the box. It's on you to decide whether that tells you to run or pass on that given play. The angles is the exact read that the quarterback has to make. So instead of, in many offenses, when they run the classic read option between the quarterback and the running back. They're reading one defender and where he is by position, where he is in terms of where the running back's intended pass is going and where the quarterback's intended pass is going and where more space is based on where that defender is. Joe Moorhead's system is designed on angles, which means quarterbacks read the angle of that defender. So instead of looking at where that defender is, they look at how that defender is positioned relative to the mesh point and the two ball carriers. The idea behind that being it's easy for an SEC defender to cover ground. It's probably a little more difficult for these freakish athletes these days to change their hip angle and then cover that ground. So the angle is all about where the read defender is playing himself based on his hips and who he's best poised to stop by his hip angle. And then when you combine numbers and angles, you get grass. If you've got a numbers advantage in the box relative to blockers versus defenders in the box, you've got the angles advantage by taking the ball where it's very difficult for the one unblocked defender to get to, you're going to get open grass.
So, looking at the personnel Mississippi State has come back, let's just be honest. This was not in your article, but it's just a question I have to you as somebody who observes this team. Nick Fitzgerald is coming back from a significant leg injury. He's shown himself running, but we don't know how healthy he's going to be or how much of his running prowess he's going to get back. So in Joe Moorhead's offense in 2018, who's going to be the bell cow? Will Fitzgerald still get as many carries as he got under Dan Mullen? What's your sense there?
Well, I think it's actually going to be what Dan Mullen was saying last preseason and last spring. He was saying all the time that he doesn't really judge or justify who gets the ball however many times. That's all based on the defense and the read. We know that to not be true because he ran designed quarterback runs enough times for Nick Fitzgerald to constantly be getting 12-plus, 15-plus carries in most of Mississippi State's games last year. I don't think Joe Moorhead's going to do that. I think he's genuinely going to let the defense tell him and tell Nick Fitzgerald and subsequent where the ball needs to go and who needs to have the ball. I don't know that he's going to go into games like Dan Mullen seemed to, saying Nick Fitzgerald needs to get this number of carries, or Eric Williams needs to get this number of carries, or our running backs need to combine to have this number of carries to feel good about what we're doing as an offense. I think he is more true to the principle of we're going to do this, and whatever you allow us to get is what we're going to get you with. If you're going to load the box and let us throw for 400 yards on you, we're going to do that. If you're going to keep 5, 6 guys in the box, if you're scared of the wide receivers, we're going to run for 300 yards on you if you allow us to. I don't know that he's going to go in with this guy needs to get this number of carries. He's going to take what the defenses have given him. He's shown that really throughout his career, but especially at Penn State. There were times where Saquon Barkley would have 20 carries in a game. There were times when he would have 6 or 7 late in the third quarter. He does what defenses allow him to do.
Can Columbus native Kylan Hill grow into doing all the things Saquon Barkley did at Penn State?
He's certainly going to have the opportunity. I mean, as a true freshman, he was the number 2 among running backs in carries on this team. Now, granted, a lot of that was because of your Point City guy, Eric Williams, taking a whole bunch of carries for himself. So there weren't very many carries for a number 2 running back. But when you look at other running backs on the team, Kylan Hill was second in carries in that regard. He's certainly got every opportunity to. I think just body type-wise, he looks a lot more like Saquon Barkley than some of Mississippi State's previous running backs just because he's freakishly muscular. Obviously not to the extent of Saquon Barkley, but he's just now ending his freshman academic year. There's plenty of time to put some more weight on him. I don't know, but he certainly got that opportunity because he showed flashes of being competent in these post-snap read systems. Obviously, Dan Mullen ran one of those last year, and Kylan seemed to know what he was doing in that regard. So if the Joe Moorhead offense is more effective in creating running lanes like his system seems to lend itself to be able to, there's no reason to believe Kylan can't be that obvious number 2 guy come the fall of 2018, although he's got competition in that regard with Nick Gibson and others.
Couple more questions before I let you get out of here. You know, State's had a running game, and State's had bruising running backs and the quarterbacks running the football. What they haven't had the last couple of years is an electric down-the-field passing threat, an offense that can go 40, 50 yards in one pass. Joe Moorhead is going to attempt to try to bring that back. Tell me about his passing game. Will he be able to do that, and how will the passing game look different this year than it's looked in past years?
Yeah, and in the story, I had a former Moorhead quarterback tell me, Michael Niebrick, who played for him at UConn and at Fordham, that Joe Moorhead isn't the guy that's going to nickel and dime you down the field, advance it 5, 8 yards at a time through the air. He wants to be quick strike. He wants scoring drives in 4, 5, 6 plays. He wants to get his offense off the field with touchdowns quickly. You have to do that through the deep ball, so he practices that constantly. He constantly has his quarterback working on play-action fake, taking their drop and placing a ball deep for a wide receiver to go get it. And that constant repetition creates two things. One, it, in theory, forces quarterbacks to be consistent with where they put a deep ball. So these wide receivers know on this play, the ball is going to end up this many yards away from the line of scrimmage in this relative spot. It's on me to get to that spot and catch that football. And then, of course, it gives wide receivers more practice in terms of getting up in the air and catching those so-called 50-50 jump balls. In terms of what the Moorhead passing attack is going to look like, there's going to be some screens and some short passes as part of RPOs, but all of those things are to set up the deep shots. He doesn't do those slants and screens to set up more runs. He does those slants and screens to set up deep balls. He wants to set up fades. He wants to set up posts. He likes the scissors concept some early in his career, which is where two wide receivers are on the same side of the field. They want the inside guy runs the corner, the outside guy runs a post. You can see where those routes cross each other. It creates a conflict for the safety. He likes to do those things, and he sets those things up with just about every play call he makes. So you're not going to go, unless you're killing clock, you're not going to go 5, 6, 7, 8 plays without at least an attempt at going deep, or at least a shot at a wide receiver stretching the field, and if he's not open, they won't throw it. But they're going to try to force the issue down the field. There's no doubt about that.
I always get scared when I hear the term "killing the clock" because early in my career, one of my first articles, I left the L out of clock when I said that phrase in an article, and it got to the newspaper. Anyway, last question for you. Yeah, it was rough. It's rough. It's been a rough career, Brett, but I made it. Anyway, last question. Last question for you is Mississippi State football in the spring and then Mississippi State football in fall practice. Is that enough time for Moorhead to get this offense running, implemented, and off the ground and ready to roll in 2018? Is that enough time?
It's enough to be effective. It's not enough to do some of the insanely creative things that Joe Moorhead did in year 2 at Penn State, but it's certainly enough to install a whole bunch of different kinds of RPOs out of different formations to create the shell of the Moorhead offense that, frankly, Mississippi State hired him to run. They want that offense, so they went and got him to run it. It's certainly enough. He's not going to do some of the insanely creative things that probably got his name out there enough to get a job of this level, just because, as you mentioned, this is a pretty short time frame that he has to work with here. But this isn't the year 0 either. He knows that the way he breaks up his installation system, he gives guys several days to master a very small segment of plays, because in RPOs, all these plays can branch off into as many as 5, 6, or 7 different outcomes off of one play call. So he gives those guys enough time to rep those plays so many times that they've seen every outcome of each individual play so many times to the point where they feel comfortable with it. And I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a significant segment of plays, but not the entire playbook, run efficiently, effectively in each possible outcome, be it the handoff, the quarterback run, the screen attached to it, the deep ball, or whatever passing threat may be attached to that particular RPO. I think you're going to see that more in 2018. Then in 2019, you might branch into some of the gadget things that Joe Moorhead has become famous for. But then again, when you're playing Alabama in November, as Mississippi State does every year, you know, that extra 3 months of the season just might be enough time to throw some gadget things in there for what would obviously be a pretty significant upset opportunity for State down the road. So it's not going to be the wildly creative and unique system that we saw out of Penn State in 2017, but it's going to be enough of the Moorhead system to be effective. And when he introduces some of those gadget things, it's going to be fascinating, whether he does that in November or in 2019. It's definitely something to look out for.
Wow, you were really good on this podcast, Brett. I had my doubts, because I've talked to people about you, and I had my doubts. But listen, you came through, and we're outstanding. So I'm just messing with you, but let me give you a quick plug. Let me give you a very quick plug. Listen, guys, if you're out there, you're watching this podcast, you're listening to this podcast, I like all the beat writers right now. I think Joel does a good job. I think Will Salmon does a good job. I think Brett Hudson does a really good job. Brett is the best guy on this beat when it comes to X's and O's and drawing up plays and figuring out why everything happens. So follow Brett Hudson on Twitter at Brett_Hudson, or look him up on the Commercial Dispatch. He is outstanding. Hey, Brett, thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. Anytime, man.
All right, that's Brett Hudson talking about Joe Moorhead's offense. These beat writers really owe me something, don't they? I mean, I give these guys plugs all the time. I mean, here I am, Brandon Walker, a big star wearing bow ties, and I'm reaching out and I'm giving these guys the rub. I'm giving these guys, my blessing. That's really nice of me to do. I'm really a super guy if you think about it. No, nothing, nobody. All right, women's basketball. So here's what I want to do. You got that ready? Here's what I want to do. All right. So Hail State Productions, before the selection show, the Mississippi State, the NCAA Tournament Women's Basketball Selection Show, put out a hype video. And if you haven't watched it, I rarely do this, but I want to give them credit. Hail State Productions is amazing. They do great work. I've always said, we weren't winning national championships, but Jack Crystal was the best thing. We always had Jack Crystal, and he was the best thing going. Right now, I feel like even no matter how a season goes, we got these Hail State Productions, and they are phenomenal. They are unmatched to me in college sports. They are fantastic. So they put out a hype video, and nothing could be more dead on than calling this a hype video because it gets me hype. Let's watch that before we talk women's college basketball.
Let's get this out the way up front. We're here for one thing and one thing only. We're here to win. We're here to dominate. We're here to play this season until one team remains. Until the final second ticks away. Until the confetti falls. Until one name stands above all. We are Mississippi State. Did you think last year was good enough? Because we didn't. We've gotten bigger. We've gotten faster. We've gotten stronger.
Maybe last year was just luck. Decide to fight. Make the choice to fight.
We are the unstoppable force and the immovable object. In 2018, the road to the title runs through Stark Vegas. It starts here. This is Humphrey Coliseum. This is the hump, where 7,000 sounds like 70,000, where ears ring and victors call, where heroes rise and opponents fall. You thought this was gonna be 5-on-5? When you play us, you play 5-on-500, on 5,000, on 50,000, streaming, yelling Bulldogs all across the world who will not stop. We are family, we are legion, we are Bulldog strong. Jog, jump, turn or fall. You can run, but you will never hide. We don't stop, no matter what's in the way. We've lifted trophies, we've cut nets, but know this, we're not done yet. We're coming. History starts now.
Woo! Woo! I'm telling you right now. All right. I could go out on I-285 and fight a bulldozer right now. All right. That video right there is something the hell else. All right. So Hail State Beat or Mississippi State Productions, whatever it is, Hail State Productions, Phenomenal job. That is as good as a hype video as we've ever done, and you guys have done phenomenal work. That is amazing. I've got goosebumps on my arm right now. Man, let's go. All right. If that doesn't get you ready for this team to go and try to win a national championship, then you're not human, or you're an Ole Miss fan. Maybe, So anyway, Mississippi State, the number 1 seed out of the Kansas City region, will be in the region with Texas, will be in the region with UCLA. It is as good of a draw as we could have gotten. We were worried when we lost to South Carolina. Would we lose the number 2 overall seed? We did not. We're still where we need to be. We're still on the opposite side from UConn. That is, nobody's scared of UConn. All right? Nobody's scared of UConn. We beat them once. We can beat them again. However, it's nice to not have to worry about that until it's for a national title. If we play UConn, it's for everything. And Mississippi State women now know their path to playing for a national title. This is the perfect draw to get there to Columbus, Ohio, and get to that final game. It gives everyone else a chance to knock off UConn first. Probably won't happen, but they'll have to come through South Carolina, which won't be easy a second time. They'll have to beat Notre Dame in the Final Four. Won't be easy. Baylor, the team I was worried about, second most behind UConn, they're up there with Louisville. So one of those 2 teams will knock the other one out. So you don't have to go through both of them. So you're going to have to go through Texas and Baylor-Louisville to get to the championship game. Now, it's not easy in Starkville. Oklahoma State played us very close in the hump earlier this season, and they come back. But they got to get through Syracuse first. Mississippi State should get to the Sweet 16, which is where they'll play the winner of NC State, Maryland, presumably. Stop. NC State, Maryland. So NC State, I would assume. And then you would have, in the Elite Eight, you would have probably UCLA or Texas and Kansas City. I think Mississippi State can win this national championship. I think we can win this national championship. Now it's just a matter of going out and doing it. Saturday night, we always have to beg for men's basketball. Please come to the men's basketball game. Please come to this men's basketball game. I know nobody's having to beg Mississippi State women's basketball fans from coming out and supporting this team Saturday night. It's going to be full. It's going to be loud. And the road to a championship starts now. And I just want to go give that guy who's talking in the hype video a high five because he has gotten me going. And right now, I'm probably going to go run a mile after this. That's false. I'm going to go eat a lot of food. Let's go ahead and skip the men's basketball at the end. We'll just hold that for tomorrow because we're running a little late. Let's go right to the 2-minute drill. And we got to run through the 2-minute drill today because I went a little long playing that video, but I don't care because it was great. Number 1, what's our biggest missed opportunity in our past when it comes to winning a national title? What's the national title we probably should have won? 2013, we got all that way and then lost to a UCLA team that was pretty good. And then last year, we did the hard work. We did the hard work by beating Baylor and UConn, but then lost to South Carolina. But I guess the one missed opportunity we all have grown up thinking about is 1985 baseball, right? We had the best baseball team in the country that year, and it ultimately didn't go our way. We finished 3rd. We didn't win that. But I would think that is probably our biggest missed opportunity in the past when it comes to winning a national title. 1996 men's basketball, says Wayman Hodge. Yeah, we had already beaten Kentucky, and we get to the Final Four and lose to Syracuse and deny ourselves a chance to beat Kentucky again. Would have been tough to beat Kentucky again, but I think we could have done it. We were really, really good. Baseball 2013, says Corey Dickey. Sarah Banks says women's basketball last year. Chad Mass says baseball versus UCLA and baseball versus Texas. I don't remember Texas. Was that 85? 85 to me is when we were the best team in the country and probably one of the best teams in the history of college baseball and didn't win a national title. And just imagine the talent on that team. Number 2, who's your Final Four in the NCAA tournament? I'm sure you filled out a bracket already. Who is your Final Four? So give me your 4 teams very quickly as we go along here. I'll tell you mine. Got 2 number 1 seeds. I got Virginia and Villanova. I think they'll be unchallenged in their regions. I like number 2 seed North Carolina down in the bottom left region. And in the bottom right, I think a wild card's coming out of this one. I really think I almost picked Auburn, but I also think Auburn could lose in the first round. That's how crazy this tournament's going to be. I ended up picking Michigan State, but I don't like it. I might go back and change it. I don't love that pick. I don't love that pick at all. Purdue could come out of there. Auburn could come out of there. A lot of teams could come out of that one. Derek Whitford has Virginia, Michigan, Villanova, Duke. So that's a 1, a 3, a 1, and a 2. Chad Mask hasn't given it any thought. Chad, thank you for your input. Jeremiah Body says Duke, Michigan State, Nova, and Tennessee. Tennessee. Interesting. I don't think the SEC is getting anybody to the Elite Eight. And I don't think the SEC might not get anybody to the Sweet 16. The matchups are not good. I'd love for the SEC to fool me, and if I had to pick an SEC team to get to the Sweet 16, I'd probably pick Arkansas. I think they have the best road. Tennessee doesn't have a bad road. Florida people are sleeping on. But past that, Alabama's going to get beat. Mizzou's going to get beat. A&M's going to get beat. I don't like Auburn at all in this tournament. Jay Hammer says Tennessee, North Carolina, Purdue, and Duke. Kevin Wright says Virginia, Florida, Duke, and Xavier. Tennessee is a very well-coached team, says Jay Hammers. And they're okay. They're decently coached. I mean, I feel like we go a little overboard on the Tennessee love a little bit. Just a little bit. Number 3, if you could punch anyone in the face in the world and get away with it, who would it be? Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's get down to the real questions, all right? Let's get down to the real business. Forget all this Final Four jazz. If you could punch anyone in the face in the entire world, who are you punching? If we asked this question last year at this time, the overwhelming answer would have been Hugh Freeze. I can go ahead and I guarantee you that. I don't know who it's going to be today, though. Jay Hammer says Brandon Walker, and Greg Dillon says you. That's not nice at all. Dan Mullen says Ginger Tuck. There's a good one. Jeremiah Body says Rachel Maddow. D. Curtis says my husband's ex-wife. Ryan McMichael says Nancy Pelosi. Jane Lewis still says Hugh Freeze. The ref from the Missouri game, Ethan Fleury. Jessica Elm Balsley says Dan Mullen, as does Stephen Mills. Donnie Caffey stays with Hugh Freeze. Lynn Rhodes Gilmer would punch Hillary Clinton. Wayman Hodge would punch John Calipari. Rachel Maddow has appeared again by the same person. I got you the first time. Hillary from Shannon Davis. Dan Mullen from Bobby Strickland. SEC refs, the North Korean dictator. Nancy Grace. Andy Cannizaro. Hillary or Maxine Waters. Whoopi Goldberg. What an odd collection of people I just named. What an odd collection of people. And still kind of troubling that I'm one of the only ones with multiple votes. Number 4. Boy, oh boy. What a day. What a time to be alive. Number 4. If you could be any celebrity in the world, who would you be? You could be one celebrity in the entire world. You could be a sports celebrity, a movie celebrity, a political celebrity, whoever you want. If you could be any celebrity in the world, and I got my answer. Oh, it's easy. It's easy. Who would you be? Matt Weisinger says William Shatner. I don't know if you want to punch him or if you want to beam. Jay Hammer says Brandon Walker. Now that's when this answer is correct. Tom Hanks. Willie Harris, I'm going to skip your answer because I'm coming back to it. Denzel, no debate, says Jeremiah Body. Grace Thacker Good says Catherine Zeta-Jones. Clint Eastwood from Danny E. Pinter. Well, you'd be almost dead. I mean, isn't he like 95? The guy who cured cancer. That's an interesting answer. Tiger Woods, says Kevin Wright. Carrie Underwood. Jessica Elm Balsley. Phil Robertson, says Chad Edwards. Morgan Freeman. Billy Graham. Chipper Jones. Morgan Freeman. The answer, my answer, I would want to be The Rock. That's the coolest guy in the world, man. The Rock? Are you kidding me? The Rock's got like billions of dollars. I mean, look at him. He's The Rock. He's The Rock. Everybody likes The Rock. You don't ever talk to anybody and say, man, I hate The Rock. Nobody dislikes The Rock. Nobody hates The Rock. Everybody loves The Rock. I love The Rock. Number 5. What is your bucket list sports event that you have not attended yet? What is your bucket list sports event that you have not attended yet? What's on your bucket list? What would you like to go to and you haven't got to yet? Ginger Tuck says The Rock is overrated. Ginger.
I agree with her, to be honest.
I don't see. Well, there you go, Ginger. Terp agrees with you. How do you feel now? How does that feel, huh? Cubs game at Wrigley, says Derek Whitford. SEC Championship, says D. Curtis. Super Bowl, says Jessica Elm Bosley. Reno Air Races. A national championship game, says John Stringer. College Baseball World Series. Jonathan Simmons. Jay Hammers, a Daytona 500. Rob Chittum says Mississippi State in the college football championship game. All right, guys. Yeah, we all want that. But I'm talking about stuff that's, stuff that happens every year. And now we're on that. Now everybody wants to go to the national championship game. That's how it happens.
I think I would do World Cup final.
That would be interesting.
Like
I would love that. I would love that. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. State in the Sugar Bowl. The Sugar Bowl is nothing anymore. But you're right. Going back to the old days, that would be cool. But the Sugar Bowl's not anywhere near where it used to be. All right. That's it. We ran a little long today. I'll come back for a couple of more questions on Facebook Live. But for the podcast, I'll drop you off here. I want to thank you for being here. My name is Brandon Walker. You've been listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country.
My computer was muted. Unmute that. All right, do it again.
Boy, you're the best.
I'll edit that out.
You are the best.
No one will know.
All right. Well, there's 130 people here that know.
Well, they will know. No one else will know.
Yeah, The Rock. Everybody loves The Rock, right? I love The Rock. I've loved The Rock for 20 years. Adam Harper says The Rock really is the jam. You need a teleprompter for the clothes, says Derek Whitford. I need a teleprompter for most things. I need a teleprompter to follow me around in my everyday life. Tell me how to talk to my wife. Tell me how to talk to my kids. Tell me how to talk to you all. Just imagine if I'm sitting there and my wife says something that kind of irritates me, and instead of going with my gut reaction, I'll just say, yes, honey, I agree with whatever you say. How much better would my life be? Brandon, I love the women's basketball video, but can we agree that last football season was not their best offering? Dan Glenn. I don't know that I can agree with that. I don't remember ever actively disliking anything they did. Hail State Productions. I am always very, very pleased. I'm always in awe of their work. I think they do phenomenal work. Derek Cody, his group there, they do terrific work at Hail State Production. I need a list of the 2-minute drill earlier. I go brain dead when you throw them out like that. Well, you can just go back and watch the show again after post to the Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just go back and watch it. I do have a list. But you know what? I'm a sweet guy. Watch this. Watch what I do. Mm-hmm.
It's great TV right here.
This is good TV. This is good TV. How about that right there? Huh? How about that? Look at me. Prediction for guys in the NIT and who could pose the most trouble for the ladies. So we need to get past Oklahoma State in the second round. I don't like that. We only beat them by 3 earlier this season. As far as who can pose the most trouble, I would just say them. I would say if McCowan got in foul trouble, we'd be in trouble. And if our shots weren't falling, we'd be in trouble. I don't think it'll happen together like it did against South Carolina again. But if we play up to our standards, I don't think there's anybody in our region that can beat us. And we certainly can get to the Final Four, and then all of a sudden you throw all the records out the window, you got a chance to win it. Oh, boy. Brandon, you look like Mr. Dora with a shirt and a bow tie. Mr. Dora was a biology teacher at West Point High School, where me and T.C. Lenore went to high school, and he was an awful looking guy. Boy, I'm so mad at you right now. Man, if we weren't on TV, woo, if I was in West Point right now, boy. Okay. Somebody said I look like Bob Backlund, former WWF champ Bob Backlund, who later started wearing bow ties. That's hilarious. I don't know who said it. I like the bow tie look. By the way, I could see you in the Grove, but you'd be the only class there, Adrian D. Brown. Wouldn't be in the Grove. Most overrated thing in college football history. Most overrated thing in the world. If I had to make a list of the most overrated things in the world, in the universe, the Grove is number one, and not even close. There might not even be number two. That is the list. Stephen Mills, you said the Bob Backlund thing. That was pretty funny. I give you credit. See, when you host an interactive show like this and people say mean things to you, you just give them credit. And you say, hey, that's funny. Or, hey, thank you for being here. Right? That's how you interact with people. That's how you do it. That's how I do it. Where can we find the video? Kathy Kingston. Which video, Kathy? Of this, what we're doing right now? Come back to Mississippi State Facebook page in about 5 minutes, and it will be posted there as a video. You just go down on the little side, click videos, and then this will be the top video there. Ole Miss in general is overrated. Donnie Caffey. Adrian D. Brown says it's literally a glorified picnic area. Not even a picnic area. In picnic areas, you can grill and have hot food. It's a glorified, I don't even know what to call it. It's a glorified Abner's shed where they just take cold chicken tenders and they don't even have grilled food. You can't have a tailgate if you can't grill. You can't have a tailgate without chicken wings and burgers and good food. Sorry. So hungry? What's for lunch? Oh my God, I'm hungry. I'm so hungry. I've got to start pacing my day better. I wake up, I don't eat breakfast. I don't like breakfast. I only like breakfast when it's like dinner time. And I come here and I do the show, and by the end of the show, I'm just starving. Your willingness to interact with your crowd definitely makes your show the best of the Mississippi State podcast. Thank you, sir. I thank you for that. What should one do with a Dan Mullen autograph football? Well, let's see. The censors aren't going to let me say what my immediate thought was. I would say give it to a kid that you don't like. That's what I would say. I disagree. Something has to be rated to be overrated. The Grove isn't even rated. You know, the Grove is rated. That's the problem. That's the problem. The Grove is rated. They trick all these magazines and saying, oh, the Grove is this great place. And the ESPN comes there and they say, oh, look at the Grove. And it's awful. It's 12 acres of terrible people eating cold food, going into a stadium that's made up of parts from leftover parts from other stadiums. I don't like Ole Miss. I don't know if I've told you guys that yet. Make a milkshake with that bow tie on, says Chad Edwards. No letter yet? No, Shannon Davis. I looked. I didn't get the letter yet. Did not get it yet. I'm sure it's coming. Not worried about it. All right. Land Shark, you ready? You ready to eat? Okay. Let's go get some deli. Let's go get something to eat. My name is Brandon Walker. You guys have been great today. I really appreciate you being here. And please come back tomorrow at 10:45 Central Time. Until next time, my name is Brandon Walker. You've been watching More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country.